40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
It is 12:59. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The 2023 NFL Draft is over after the Titans selected Northwestern guard Peter Skoronski in the first round. Day 2 began Friday, and it didn't take long for the Titans to select a pick as they traded up in the second round to take a quarterback.
With the 33rd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky.
Other than Levis, the rest of the weekend saw the Titans bringing in Tulane running back Tyjae Spears in the third round, as well as Cincinnati tight end Josh Wiley, Maryland offensive tackle Jalen Duncan, and wide receiver Colton Dow out of Tennessee Martin. Dow, a Middle Tennessee product out of Wilson County, coming out of high school. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Let's do this. It's Monday. Blaine and Mickey, you got a class of new Titans. 6 guys got drafted.
Yee-hoo.
6 guys got drafted. One of them was a receiver, and he's from Lebanon. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Where did he go?
Colton Dowell.
Wilson Central?
That's
Wilson Central High School.
Wilson Central, via
cool.
Tennessee Martin.
Ooh, that's cool. Yeah.
How's everybody feeling? People seem to, I don't know. They seem to be
into their feelings.
They seem to be into their feelings. That's a nice way to say it. So we're going to have open phone lines. We got Justin Melo. We will go through each of these picks with him. He has interviewed and covered the draft like few people. So we'll talk to Justin Melo at 1:20. We'll do Ding Dong of the Week at 2:20. I'd say just as soon as the 2 o'clock hour starts, you can even drop a ding dong in the Zone TV chat now, because I think some of you are ready to assess various things that you have seen as various levels of ding-dongery. You want to grade the draft, and I know you truly can't grade until 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. I totally get that. But just how you're feeling, maybe. And here's my question about Will Levis. And I'm just going to ask, this is just another way to kind of scale this mountain here with Will Levis. Do you feel better, even if you're not a huge fan of the pick, do you feel better that it was in the second round instead of the first? Does that make you feel any better? I know if you say, I just don't want him no matter what, but you still got a first-round pick. He may be a guard, but he can help your offensive line. And then you get Will Levis in the second. Or does nothing make you feel better about it? Or, Luke, are you like Luke in the Zone TV chat? Blaine, Luke says, I love the pick. I'd like to hear from some people who love the pick today.
Or he love Skoronski or Levis?
Maybe he's responding to us. So I love the pick. I think he's talking about Levis.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, so I said before that I was cool with either quarterback. I thought Anthony Richardson and Levis would be there possibly. And if they were, I was cool with either way. Mm-hmm. I said that numerous times. I think both of them are very talented. They're, off the charts athletic. Both of them. Anthony Richardson is just on a whole nother level, though. We could say that. But real athletic, Levis too. And they're both going to have to go through their development. So I think the Titans really were very fortunate since, they kind of gassed moving up to the third pick. They actually end up getting their, offensive lineman that they liked a lot, who was rated really high. And then they end up getting their possibly franchise quarterback moving up in the second round for him to even be available. I think, there was rumors that the Titans are trying to move up at the bottom of the first round, them and, a handful of other teams. They weren't ready to pull the trigger. And then, the second day, they moved up and got him. So, I think I think in the NFL, I think he's going to be an interesting prospect in that he fits the mold of what they do. Remember, Kentucky, run dominant offense. Only thing is he turned the ball over a lot. So he's got to get that out of his system. I'm sure there's a ownership by him, but let alone, young receivers, new offensive line, young offensive line, new coordinator. We can go down the excuses you want to, but ultimately, as a player, you still threw him. Yeah, I'm just sorry. I can't help if somebody ran a bad route or, they made a mistake and everything else. So maybe they think they can get at him. But as far as his talent, he is a very gifted thrower and athlete. I'm going to put him on this plane. I think he's a poor man's. I know everybody keeps talking about Roethlisberger. I would give him more of a poor man's Josh Allen because he's big, he's strong. Remember I said nobody looks like him. He is ripped up. Like he looks like he could play tight end. Like he looks he looks the part. So I'm going to give him a fair shot, whoever the quarterback was. I think they have potential, and I think it's time to turn the page. I think they're very fortunate to have a Tannehill so he can learn from. When I say learn from, he doesn't have to communicate with them besides here or there, but just watching. If you're paying attention, you're aware, and then learning from the coaches as well. So, I think this may work out to their benefit. The only thing, and I actually liked all the picks. I went and looked up and watched film of every last one of the guys. Very quality people, athletes. Football is their life pretty much, except for the last offensive lineman guy. There were somewhat of red flags there. Athletically, he's got the look. I would say he's a better Staley athletically. He looks like him, but a better athlete. Price Daly. Daily. I'm sorry, I said Staley. Price Daly. And so when you get that kind of value late in the, I think he can be way better, but I don't know how serious he is about football because I didn't see like the nastiness I wanted to see. But other than that, I even like the last pick, Tennessee Martin kid. I watched him, I remember, against UT. He's definitely got some skills. So only thing that was surprising to me, he's still a really good player. I like him. Tajay Spears, the running back. In the third pick, and I know they really liked him after that Senior Bowl because I did too.
Me too.
He was on a whole nother level, but he's got some injury history with 2 ACL tears, arthritic knees. He performed really well. All you got to do is go back and watch the bowl game versus USC. That's Southern Cal, by the way, and he lit them up like a light bulb. So he's got some explosiveness to him that is really, really interesting, and I like. Great vision, can catch, can block. He can do it all. I don't know if that's what his role would be. I would say he's going to be more the Hilliard. Reason why that was a surprise pick, like him as a player, I just thought wide receiver would be more of a pressing issue there at that pick. And maybe it was, but they didn't like anybody else on their board was not rated higher than him. And it was maybe a no-brainer. To me, you can get a player like that, especially with his injury history with 2 ACLs. You got to say, well, as much as he may impact the team now, because I think he'll play. I think he'll absolutely play this season. Is he a long-term fix, or could you just sign some veteran, third down guy and bring him in just like you did Hilliard and then use a wide receiver there or whatever other position that you thought was more of a pressing need there? That's it. But I like the player. To me, when you're talking about running backs, and to me, that's Rand's background, not just because he was a former running back, because of where he was with the 49ers, they got quality value from guys late in the draft to free agents. So you can get a pretty solid running back like that maybe later. Maybe not quite as explosive because he is an explosive. He can roll. He can hit the hole and go. But also there's other factors. The acumen, the personality fits the mold. So all those things. So, it's hard to, overall, somebody asked me like, what is your grade? I say, well, I give them a B. I'm giving a B. I almost was going to go B minus, but they at least got a receiver in there, but I don't know how much. I think he's a better version of NWI as a young player. Yeah, I think that's what he is. He could play even special team. This guy's aggressive. Love how he's kind of a tall guy. It gets out of his breaks really well, being from an FCS school. I know somebody said he was Division II. He's not Division II. He's FCS. Overall, I thought it was a solid draft class. Not a lot of sexy names, but I think the big hiccup here is a lot of people thought the Titans, had a chance about, we're in the UT market. We're in the Vol Nation. There were some balls there that they could have taken, whether it was receiver or even quarterback. And they thought that those other guys were better, whether it was a different position or not. There were some guys available, and they went a different direction. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But at the end of the day, I liked pretty much all the players that they drafted. Quality, good football players. So I don't know how many of them will be, really only ones you're really going to critique after you look back over this draft. I know you could say the third-round pick, but it's always going to go to Levis and Skronsky.
Yep.
And I'm still not sure if Skronsky's a tackle. Like, he could be okay. Like, I was trying to give him a comparable. You know what came to my mind when I watch him? Because he's so technically sound. And then the kid Duncan is not that.
Right.
He's more athletic. And they train together, too, by the way, this, I guess, preparing for the draft and everything else. So maybe that'll rub off on him a little bit. Is Michael Ruse. That's what I think of Skronsky. And I go, And I look at him because Ruse didn't have all the length. And
Right.
It wasn't as short as Skronsky, but that's kind of where I was going when I'm watching him. And he's much more probably technically sound than Ruse was initially, but Ruse was technically sound too. But in college, he was technically. I didn't see him miss a beat. He definitely understands how to play this mental game with his one-on-one matchups. So he's very intelligent as far as a football player. But sometimes at some point in time, you're going to be isolated. I just can't peg how athletic he is. Now, you can go look at some of his numbers, and that can tell you apart. But people can train that are good athletes to do well on those tests. So that's not telling me when he gets at a one-on-one versus Bosa, how will he do consistently? Well, the technique fell him because he hadn't seen a guy like this. Or whoever it may be. He'll get some good practice, with Landry and Key and all those guys. You shall see. And then if he's that guard, I can't wait till he just line up against Big Jeff. That is a force that not to be dealt with, man. He ain't faced nothing like that. So it'll be interesting to see. And notice how they say O-lineman. So they haven't even designated if he's a guard or if he's a tackle, because it would say OT. So I think they're not sure. So they're going to be tinkering with that the whole entire time, which will perturb me because that delays the process on where he's playing and the group playing together. But unfortunately, sometimes you got to do that.
A bunch of these guys, 3- and 4-year starters. I guess with the exception of Levis, they were all at least 3-year starters, I believe. So they went,
they got some guys
went
good film.
experience there. And Jalen Duncan, the guy you mentioned, I read some draft reviews that said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they stole this guy. Oh my gosh, what a pick in the 6th round." And other people said, sort of like you, I'm not sure about him. I'm not sure. And he had the Blaine Bishop. It's like, tell me how he did against the best teams.
And he did not do well.
He did not go well for him.
I bring that up. He did not. And he didn't finish sometimes. It was almost, I'm going to say this, and I don't even know the kid, but when I watched him, I felt like there's some lazy gene there to him. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Because he has all the measurables. He has all the athleticism, and you just feel like, what is missing? What is missing with this dude? I mean, I can go down to negative Nancy. He didn't have a motor. That's not a Vrabel guy. He played bad versus what you just said, big competition. Is he motivated? Like, does he want to be great at what his God-given talent was given to him? That runs through my mind. I think he doesn't finish. And also, lastly, I said a lazy gene. I'm going to give it more undisciplined. A guy with that kind of athleticism, to me, and that big, should be putting out a little bit better film on that consistently. He did it at times, but not consistently. Yeah,
Jalen Duncan, 6'6", 306, out of Maryland.
But some coaches feel like, you know what, I can work with that,
right?
Because that's all he's got it. He got it.
You either got that or you don't.
No, right.
You're
so
going with that.
It's like, he's fast, so I can teach him how to catch.
Right.
If you're
Right.
a receiver, he's fast. I can teach him how to catch and run routes. So to his credit, but yeah, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
No. It was interesting. Josh Wiley, the other guy, the tight end we haven't really spoken about, 6'7", 240, 6'7", 248.
What'd you like about him or didn't like? Seemed like he had a relationship with Vrabel to some point. I think they worked him out even his junior year.
I went back and found this from Dane Brugler. I thought this was interesting. It said after playing at 230 pounds as an underclassman, he sustained 250 plus pounds as a senior. Brugler also said he's a willing blocker. He showed improved blocking control as a senior.
Right. So was he converted wide receiver to tight end or no? He just more was a receiving tight end
No,
initially.
I think he may have been a wide receiver way back, and then just ate his way and grew his way into being a tight end.
And he was never really a focal point of their offense.
Nope. He never had 400 yards in a season, but he had 15 touchdowns. So they knew, like, hey, man, we get close. We're going to throw it to this big rascal. 6'7"?
That's says he's a good route runner and that he can win at every level of the field. Snap through routes and breaks and produce, catching. So, it's that's what people say. Oh, well, he was never part of the. I don't like hearing that because it doesn't matter. His stats are the stats, but that doesn't mean that's what he's going to project based off of his stats. That's people who live off of stats to determine if somebody's going to be a good player. That's the NFL doesn't go by that. If that's the case, Levis would have never got drafted by the Titans because as soon as they saw the word turnover and his name in front of it, they would have never drafted him because what does Vrabel always talk about? Turnovers by the freaking quarterback or anybody. Yep. So he would have never got taken by the Titans. So that's what, the issue is. Some people look at the stats and try to measure it up, and it's not fair because I used to do the same thing, and that's not equating to what possibly they can be. It's really their athletic traits that they have that you think you project that they can be. And that's why they miss, especially with the higher picks, because they do that more often than not, the higher picks, because their ceiling is so much higher.
Let's get our guy Justin Melo in here next. We'll discuss everything with him. We'll take your phone calls and reactions, 615-737-1045. But Justin Melo next to break down the Titans draft class. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Swimming our way through this Monday. Let's jump to our buddy Justin Melo. He was joining us every week before the draft started. We were previewing people. Now, as Justin Melo joins us at JustinM_NFL from the Draft Network and many other local sources. Justin, the Titans have actually chosen players, as have everyone else. Good to have you on, buddy.
Great as always. It's nice to be talking about guys they actually drafted now.
Yes, sir. Well, let's just start with this. Overall, I don't want to say grade because you really can't grade them until years down, but overall thoughts on this Titans class.
Well, I thought they were in a situation maybe where they would go all offense, so I was pleased that they went all offense. I think the state of the roster indicates that was a necessary move. My overall feeling is mixed, in all honesty, because I thought, they got some immediate contributors in Peter Skoronski and probably even, Josh Wiley as well. But I also thought they only sort of dipped their toe into the water for 2023 and really took some foundational players potentially for 2024, obviously with a Will Levis and a Tajay Spears.
Just looking at the draft before we get into the Titans class, I'll just ask you like a generic question. Maybe whose draft did you like the most in the league? Whose do you like the least?
I didn't love what the San Francisco 49ers did. They used the pick on a specialist. They already didn't have many picks to begin with, so I didn't think they got great value. Then they didn't have many picks, and then they traded up for a safety in Jair Brown from Penn State that I thought would have been available with their initial pick. I liked what the Las Vegas Raiders did. In all honesty, I like what the Seattle Seahawks did. In parts, I thought getting Devon Witherspoon and Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first round was terrific for them, two immediate starters. I look at what Vegas did, getting Tyree Wilson there and inside-outside versatility, Michael Mayer in the second round. A lot of people didn't like what the Detroit Lions did in the first round, and I get it from a value perspective, but I bet you my bottom dollar that both Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell play a lot of football in 2023 for a potential postseason team, and you can't underrate how big that is. So I also thought the Pittsburgh Steelers had a great draft as well, getting guys like Keanu Benton and Darnell Washington. I thought they had my favorite class overall.
Talking NFL draft and Titans and more with our buddy Justin Melo with the Draft Network.
Well, Justin, just to follow that up, what did you think about Phillies and Houston's draft? But I mean, the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
Well, I will say it's impossible not to love what the Texans did at the top, even if you don't like, even if it's a division rival you don't like. I mean, they got the best player in the draft in Will Anderson Jr. after trading up to number 3, and then taking the quarterback at number 2, C.J. Stroud. It's ironic, right? Because this is how it always should have gone. We spent the whole pre-draft process psyching ourselves out, right? Like, if I did a mock draft back in January, you have C.J. Stroud going number 2 overall to the Houston Texans, right? But guess what? You're doing one a week before April. It's, the Texans are going to pass on a quarterback. They're going to take Will Anderson Jr. number 2 or Tyree Wilson number 2. No, they did what they should have done the entire time, and that's take the second-best quarterback in the draft, a potential franchise quarterback. Now, you pair that with Will Anderson, I mean, oh, my Lord, right? Like, they got potential face of the franchise players on both sides of the ball. Later on, I thought it was a mixed bag. Like, certainly everyone felt they reached for the Penn State interior lineman, Juice Scruggs, although I did think he was going to go earlier than people thought. I didn't think he'd go in the 60s. I really liked Brandon Hill, the safety out of Pittsburgh they took in the 7th round, was one of my late draft sleepers. Then the Philadelphia Bulldogs, I mean, 3 guys acquired this weekend, at least, right, from Georgia, if you include the DeAndre Swift trade. Certainly getting Jalen Carter there at 9. They feel good about who he is off the field. That's going to come down to a question of maturity, right? And if they can keep him in line, certainly most people thought he was a top 3 player in the class. And then also getting the edge rusher Nolan Smith there at 30 or 31st overall. I thought he was going to go much earlier than that. Based on the combine that he had, I was stunned he didn't go earlier. And then I thought they needed a running back. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs were popular prospects that were mocked to them. They didn't get either of them, of course, so I thought it was worthwhile trading for DeAndre Swift. They did a good job of leveraging the fact that Detroit had no leverage. I mean, after drafting Jahmyr Gibbs and signing David Montgomery, it was clear Swift was in no man's land, and they gave up essentially nothing to get him.
Come on, Justin, man. You talked all offense, but you did talk a little bit. Well, what about the Sidney Brown and Key Ringo from Georgia as well, right?
Well, I'll tell you this, Sidney Brown.
I like both of them.
Oh, Sydney. First of all, Sydney Brown. I'm a little biased because you know me as the resident Canadian here on Blaine and Mickey. Sydney Brown actually grew up 2 hours from me.
What?
Right here outside Toronto. Yeah, Sydney Brown is Canadian. He grew up 2 hours outside Toronto. I spoke to him a lot throughout the pre-draft process. We had some great phone calls, him and I. He's a dude, man. I mean, and that Illinois defense, and Blaine, I think you'll appreciate this. We always talk about pro-style offenses, right? Oh, he comes from a pro-style offense. I never see anyone use the term pro-style defense. Right? And that bothers me because where did he play? He played at Illinois. What else did they have in that secondary? They had 3 guys go in the top 100 in that secondary, right? With Devon Witherspoon and Jartavius Martin, who I knew was going to be a top 100 pick, didn't get enough love. Thought the Titans were really high on him, but he went earlier than they thought he would. 3 guys. That secondary was the best secondary in college football this year. I don't care about the bigger programs. I don't care what anyone says about them. You put on that Illinois tape, those 3 guys are NFL players. I think all 3 of them will start in year 1. Yeah. All of them. Yeah. They're going to play a lot of football this year. And Khalil Ringo, I mean, I was a little surprised to see him go as late as he did. Yeah. I know there were some questions there, but he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's athletic. He checks a lot of boxes, right? Like, the combine testing went well. I think he ran, in the high 4.3s, I believe it was. Like, this is a good football player, and certainly a lot of people feel like Howie Roseman has done it again.
Yeah, no doubt about that. When I really watched Brown at the Senior Bowl, and I was like, uh-oh. And I felt like that was me in today's world right there. And so
he was outstanding.
Yeah, he's sharp, smart, can cover, not just a box safety or someone who was just a physical knockout type guy. He can roll, he can run, and he's sharp. So, yeah, I just wanted to hear your opinion. Now, let's talk about the Titans and their draft picks. Kind of take us, and I want you to kind of compare, because this kid went after him like 3 picks later, and that's Skoronski. Compare him to Broderick Jones. What is the difference between the two?
I thought Peter Skoronski was a bit more technically clean than Broderick Jones, and that may be a little unfair to Broderick because I thought Peter Skoronski was the cleanest prospect in the entire class. So it's a high bar, right, to hold them up to. Obviously, some of the differences are Broderick Jones is going to be a left tackle. I think there's no question about what position he's going to play. That's why Pittsburgh traded up ahead of the New York Jets to get him. The Jets, unfortunately, were a little too obvious that they were sitting there and waiting for a left tackle to fall in their lap, and Pittsburgh said, okay, excuse me, we're just going to come up, get in front of you, trade with the New England Patriots, who aren't going to trade with you, right, and go get a left tackle. It'll be interesting to see where the Titans utilize Skoronski because Rand Carthon, general manager, he did talk about the arm length. He acknowledged it, but he didn't find it to be completely prohibitive to Skoronski's chances of playing left tackle. In fact, he said, I don't know why, we would say he can't play tackle when he was pretty dang good in college for 3 or 4 years playing tackle. So I thought that was an interesting point. Titans, look, they made a decision here, right? They went with him ahead of Broderick Jones. If they took Broderick Jones at 11, I don't think anyone would have viewed it as a reach. So I like that you bring up both of them, Blaine, and I think that's a fair question because certainly Titans fans should spend the next couple of years comparing Peter Skoronski's productivity to that of Broderick Jones.
Yeah, I think Skoronski's kind of more. I compared him to the Michael Ruse that we had here at the left tackle, and some people saying Ruse's arms were shorter than Skoronski. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if you were.
Not shorter, but fairly short-ish, but not quite. He still hits some minimum thresholds, at least, that Skoronski does not.
One with Justin Melo.
Justin, people seem to be sort of very torn on the Tyjae Spears pick. Now, we all watched him every day while we were sitting here doing the show. His combine performance, his All-Star game performance at the Senior Bowl was unbelievable. And we were like, oh, my gosh, wouldn't it be fun to have that guy? Well, they got him, but all the medicals are out. People are kind of nervous about the lack of knee ligaments and cartilage. Where are you on all the medicals for Spears?
I land somewhere in the middle with this pick because, a lot of the Titans fans, what they're saying, and I get it. Look, we've got Derrick Henry. He's not going to come in and be an immediate starter. And while all of that is true, I don't know that he's not going to contribute. In fact, I do think he's going to contribute a lot to this football team in 2023. Like, you talk about the impact Dontrell Hilliard gave them at times when he was healthy and was their leading touchdown in receptions at one point. Like, he's going to come in and be a weapon in the passing game. They're hoping he is, in all honesty, what Darian Ted-Evans wasn't, right, when they drafted him a couple of years ago out of App State. It's the same vision, right, that sort of lightning and thunder combination, getting a smaller guy that can come in, be a change of pace option to Derrick Henry, and catch the football coming out of the backfield. The medicals, look, they are what they are, right? He's torn his ACL twice. That's difficult. You heard about the arthritis in the knee. You do worry about that. But I did find myself somewhat chuckling to Titans fans' reaction because I'm like, did this guy not play 14 games this past year and have 1,600 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns? Like, it's not like this guy didn't just tore his ACL and didn't play football, right? Like, he's played a lot of football this past year, and he was unbelievable when he was on the field for Tulane, which was every game, by the way, right? 14 appearances this past year. You saw what he did at the Senior Bowl. When everyone was out there in Mobile, nobody stopped talking about him, right? Oh my God, this is the most dynamic player here, the most dynamic prospect here with the ball in his hands. He's making everybody miss. So I do think he's going to come in and contribute. You want to question 4 or 5 years down the road? That's fair, right? It's very possible that this thing becomes more of an issue. And if it does, as we all know, Titans fans are going to grill, Ran Carthon for it, right? But until then, there's really no point in sort of being skeptical and trying to guess the framework of what could happen with the medicals. He's a kid that I interviewed a couple of weeks before the draft. And I'll say I was very impressed with his attitude, his personality. This is an extremely confident kid. He's got a lot of swagger. He loves talking about the injuries. He has no problem talking about how he overcame it. He's got a ton of confidence in his abilities, and I'm really excited to see him make plays on Sundays.
The Titans did draft a quarterback, and a lot of people seem to have some various feelings about it. One, William Donovan Lewis. They got him in the second round. They did give up a little bit of a draft asset or two. Just what do you think, Will Levis?
I didn't hate it. I don't hate it as much as the Titans fans do. I'll tell you that right now. But I always got the feeling pre-draft, that I was higher on him than most people are. I thought getting him in the second round is obviously very good value, considering, most people expected him to go earlier than that. They tried trading back to back end of the first round to get him, right? They had conversations with the Buffalo Bills who were unwilling to move out because they wanted Dalton Kincaid so badly and were kind of stunned that he was there. Look, the kid's got a lot of traits that we want in quarterbacks nowadays, especially in today's NFL, right? He's big, he's strong-armed, and he's athletic. And yes, you might be saying, that sounds like another quarterback the Titans drafted a year ago. Well, the big difference is he ran a pro-style offense in the SEC at Kentucky, right? Not only is it a pro-style offense, it's got many similar concepts and verbiage to that of what the Titans operate. So his ability to acclimate to Tennessee's offense is going to be night and day, right, compared to the struggles that Malik Willis had when trying to acclimate to the offense last year. So it's a very different situation. I'll tell a quick story. I had an opportunity several months ago, to sit down and watch Will Levis's tape with a current NFL scout. It was an experience that I really enjoyed. This scout actually played in the NFL, and then I was a bit more skeptical. This was back in October, November, the way Levis was playing last year. And the scout talked to me about going down there to Kentucky, sitting down with Will Levis, meeting him in person, and he said to me, "Justin, I played in the league. I wish that guy was my quarterback when I was in the NFL." Like, I'm an ex-player that still has those competitive juices about me, flowing through me, and I would run through a brick wall for this guy as my quarterback. So I thought that was really eye-opening to hear from a current NFL. It was not a Titan scout, obviously, in case people are wondering. I thought that was really eye-opening to hear, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people in Tennessee.
Justin Melo breaking it down for us at JustinM_NFL of the Draft Network.
Well, naturally, Justin, everybody was a little disheartened not, drafting a wide receiver higher. So what was your thoughts on Colton Dowell there from UT Martin, who impressed when he played Tennessee for sure?
Well, I certainly, expected them to get a receiver earlier than they did. Dowell's a small school guy. The measurables are very impressive. But we know what the odds are, right? They're not great when you're getting a small school receiver in the 7th round to come in and not only pan out, but also to be an immediate contributor, right? Because make no mistakes, they need immediate contributors. Now, I don't think realistically they'll expect Colton Dowell to do that, but the point is, they passed on guys that potentially could have been immediate contributors. The one interesting thing that Mike Vrabel and Ran Carthon said during their press conference when they were asked about not drafting a receiver, and I appreciated the honesty, they essentially said with every pick we had before Colton Dowell, for us to have drafted a wide receiver, we would have had to have gone way off our draft board. That is what it sounds like. They did not like the wide receivers in this class. They're not high on this class. The class was not as good as it's been in previous years. We've talked about that for months. And we talked about it being a small class. It's a very small class of receivers, right? Not a whole lot of big physical guys. The one opportunity where I thought they could have drafted a receiver where they didn't, especially, but it's the Will Levis pick. You come up to get a quarterback, you're throwing everything else out the window, right? If you love this quarterback and you think he's got a chance to be a franchise quarterback, there's no part of you that sits there and says, I think I'm going to pass on this franchise quarterback so I can get a wide receiver instead. But if they didn't feel that way about Will Levis, we talked on the show previously about Jonathan Mingo, right, the receiver out of Ole Miss. He ends up going just a couple picks later to the Carolina Panthers, who also needed immediate contributors at receiver, especially after taking a first-round quarterback. I thought that was one opportunity. I was stunned that Tyler Scott was available as late as he was from Cincinnati. I can't remember what round. It was certainly the 5th or 6th round. The Chicago Bears took him. I think it was the 5th round, actually, now that I think of it. It would have been great, I thought, to have gotten him, but they had that big gap, right, between their 3rd and 5th round picks. He went before they can come on the clock again in the 5th round, and they ended up taking the tight end out of Cincinnati. It would have been very interesting to me to see if Tyler Scott was on the board at that selection. Would they have taken Tyler Scott? Would they have taken Josh Wiley? I was told they were high on Tyler Scott. They took him out to dinner during the pre-draft process. They really liked him. Unfortunately, he wasn't there for them, and they got to get creative now, right, and try to find a receiver that can contribute for them immediately. I don't know for sure how they do that because there aren't a lot of options.
Well, there's still another round of cuts by the league, and maybe you can get a veteran with a lot of experience, and not at the end of his career, but more so in the middle of his career, and see where you go from there. I think that's probably the plan. I guess lastly for me, Jalen Duncan, the offensive tackle from Maryland.
I was surprised he went as late as he did. Back in, and this is, again, sometimes we start the process too early, but back in October, November, this guy was being discussed about as a potential first-round pick. Like, that was a legitimate discussion on Jalen Duncan. And then the year didn't go as well as, people thought it would. Showed some struggles in pass protection in really big games. That hurt him a lot. But I thought when he went down to Mobile, the Senior Bowl, it was almost unpopular to say you liked Jalen Duncan, but I thought he played well there at the Senior Bowl. And I thought that should have done a better job potentially rehabilitating a reputation that took a hit during the season. And then I thought he went to the Combine, and I thought he was pretty good there as well. Right? And the Titans brought him in for a top 30 visit, so they always had their eyes on him. I had like a 3rd round grade on him. I was definitely stunned that he lasted all the way to the 6th round. By far, at least, a general consensus perspective, he was the best player on the board by far when the Titans drafted him. I like him at tackle. There have been some discussions that maybe he can play guard. We'll see how they work him in throughout rookie mini camp and training camp and all that to come in a few months. I'm a fan of his. I think he can play tackle in this league. I was very surprised they got him where they did. I think he has a chance to eventually develop into a starter.
How does he compare to, that's what I compared him to, you tell me, the Daly kid that we had on the team this past season that was playing tackle? Just like their measurables. I think he's a better athlete than Daly, but their measurables, they look somewhat similar.
I do think I agree with you. I think he's a better athlete than him. Yeah. That's where some of those questions rise. I actually had a couple, Titans fans jump in my mentions and say he reminds me of Dennis Daly when I watched Jalen Duncan in college. Certainly, you're hoping for better than that, right? After what Daly delivered this past year, I think where the question is fair, especially when you're making the jump from college to the NFL. One of Daly's biggest issues, and he had a lot of them this past year, in all honesty, one of his biggest issues I thought was foot speed in pass protection, right? There's only so much coaching up you can do when a guy's getting beat around the edge consistently, right, like a drum, over and over again. I thought Jalen Duncan, had some of those issues in college where he lost reps due to foot speed. So that would be the one area of the comparison that scares me. But I do think he's a better athlete. I agree with that assessment. So you hope that the foot speed could sort of get by at this level where it didn't get by for Dennis Daly, but it'll be interesting to hear reports about when he's going through those one-on-one reps. Titans training camp, they got a lot of good rushers, right? Whether he's going up against guys like Harold Landry and Arden Key or even a Rashad Weaver, certainly. It'll be interesting to see how he can keep up with those guys.
Yeah, no doubt.
Our guy, Justin Melo, hey, man, fantastic stuff all through the prep and today. And I'm sure you're starting to grind on 2024 already at JustinM_NFL for all the latest from you, from all the great places where you're doing work. Thank you, sir.
Well, I'll take a nap before I get into 2024, but I appreciate it, guys. You know where to find me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Our favorite Canadian, Justin Melo. All right, when we come back, what did Mike Vrabel say about receiver stuff? He got asked about it, of course, and he gave his assessment of where that position is and where it's going for the Titans. And then Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I was trying to intro us there for a little while. Justin Melo, again, at @JustinM_NFL. Always great stuff from him doing the business of the NFL draft. And now we got real players to talk about. So we'll take your calls. We got a ding-dong of the week coming up. But let's hear Mike Vrabel because, of course, after the draft was completed, they did not pick a wide receiver until the 7th round. It was Colton Dowell, who is a local guy with local ties from Lebanon, played at UT Martin. But Mike Vrabel essentially explaining here what you see now is maybe not exactly what you'll see later, but here it is in Mike Vrabel's words.
Going into Monday, it will be. Yeah, and we're going to continue to explore and find ways to improve our roster and make it as competitive as possible. So on Monday, it will be. We felt good if, for us to add a receiver, we would have come far off our board at those certain levels, and that's what I'm happy about. You guys are going to trust us. We're gonna put players in here that are going to help us win.
That last part kind of goes back to the previous question. You can find ways to improve your roster. Free agency's over and the draft's over. Aren't those the places to improve your
free
roster?
agency's not. They're going to let us sign free agents Monday. They will. Chad will. Rand will. They'll let us sign free agents on Monday. Free agency is going to go all the way up until the season starts. There'll be players that are on other teams that will become available Monday. Take a look. It'll be real large waiver wire. We'll scour that. We'll continue to look for trade possibilities and opportunities. Chad and Vin will help us with the salary cap, find ways to open up salaries so that we can potentially sign other players. There's been a pretty good process here, and I'm excited about it.
So that's Mike Vrabel. What it is, Monday we'll try guys out there, and then we'll start signing people. So, at one point, Blaine, he said last year to, was it Ed Werder, who the bleep are we going to throw it to? Remember that quote that made it everywhere?
I forgot about that.
It's basically the same bunch of dudes with the addition of Chris Moore, who's just a veteran, a journeyman type guy.
And no Robert Woods.
So I would say it's worse. Chris Moore is not Robert Woods.
No, he's not. And then the addition of this young man from Lebanon, Colton Dowell, but a 7th-round pick. And
wait, you got to think he's going to be a special team guy. Maybe he'll be out there sooner than later based off of injuries or something. But
this is a worse room after saying who the bleep are we going to throw it to.
Yeah.
Man.
Now, to his point, though, there is time, so you got to be patient. So I guess it's supposed to be a wave of guys going to get cut now here on Monday is what he's saying. So today is Monday, right? I'm just making sure I just the
all
right
day
Monday.
long.
I was just saying. I'm just what he said, and now I'm trying to translate to what it meant, and I haven't seen anyone get cut yet.
Okay.
So we shall see. And I don't know if he meant the next Monday, but I haven't seen anybody. So I'm hoping that is true. At some point, there's going to be a wave of veterans that get released based off of cap numbers. We keep using the example of Corey Davis because it seems like he may get cut, but we have no idea if that's true or not.
Did you see how many people? We've been saying that for 2 months.
Yeah,
and
you're the first one I heard say that, too.
And it's now, everybody and their brother kind of.
Yeah, I'm repeating it myself. So, I'm thinking, when I say Corey Davis, I'm thinking players like that may become available at an economical, price. And I'm not talking about minimum or anything like that, but you can sign them for 3, 5, for, a receiver, then, who's still not, long in the tooth, still has something left, and, will be a good receiver, but not something that's, oh, wow, we signed. And I think that fits what he wants. I think Vrabel believes, and I think it's his time when he was with the Patriots, that he doesn't have to have an elite receiver. I think he doesn't value those guys like that. And there's a part of me that in this day and age, I just think you should a little bit more. I get why he does, but I think this era is different than when he played. Granted, their offense is a little less, pass happy because you got Derrick Henry, but you're starting this wave, and I think they're playing in between. You're still trying to win with some players that are at the end, at least here, and then you're trying to mix and get your developmental pieces as well as your base pieces for next year. And that's really hard to do, and I think they're managing through all of that pretty well, and I think that's why they're saying be impatient instead of just out there reaching for something. So hopefully a player or two is available, and not just a receiver, other positions that they may think they need, another player or another depth piece, maybe even a starter. You don't know what could happen out here in free agency, and or maybe he's even talking about trade. I don't know. So we shall see. But yeah, Brinker, and it seems like he's got a little clout here with the salary cap. So it's going to be interesting. So I'm gonna try to be patient, just like everybody else. I'm a fan, and all I do is see what everybody else sees. So we shall see if they do sign a receiver that fits with the model that they want on this team. Right now, if they don't, and they just sign another Chris Moore or something, nothing against those guys, they're good players. But Burks is going to have to be outstanding, and that's asking a lot out of a guy who was in and out of the lineup all last year, whether for whatever injuries or not. That's putting a lot on his on his shoulder. So I would think you want to have a really solid complementary piece opposite of him at the wide receiver position that. Defenses know, hey, man, this guy's a good player. He's a good starter in the National Football League.
Some questions in the Zone TV chat about taking Levis over Hooker, who did not go until the third round. Obviously, Will Levis went in the second round of the Titans. Rand Carthon was on Ramon, Kayla, and Will this morning. That question came up. He responded. What did the Titans general manager say? We'll play that for you next. Also, if you're online, hold. We got a whole hour to take calls and talk to you coming up, as well as Ding Dong of the Week. And there are candidates, so line up with your Ding Dong as well.
It is 2:01. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans 2023 draft class is in the books. The headliner with the 33rd pick, second-round quarterback out of Kentucky, Will Levis. Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon met with Titans media Friday after day 2 of the draft had concluded, and Vrabel gave some insight on the process of selecting Levis and what went into the Titans evaluation.
We try to look at the really good exposures, the great performances. We try to look at them, what they look like at their worst, and then just try to pull the curtain and see what it looks like. But there were some really impressive performances against some big-time defenses in the SEC.
Other day 2 and 3 picks included running back Tyjae Spears out of Tulane, Cincinnati tight end Josh Wiley, Maryland offensive tackle Jalen Duncan, and wide receiver Colton Dowell out of Tennessee Martin. The Atlanta Braves currently in action, bottom of the 6th inning at the Mets. It is a 6-5 Braves lead. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Monday to you. You've had some time now to process the draft. How are you feeling? Skoronski, Levis, Spears, Wiley, Duncan, Dowell, the big 6 the Titans added. And then going to add a bunch of undrafted guys as well. They got tons of space to put them. So there's a lot of places to put some undrafted guys. They went with Levis in the second round, and the Zone TV chat, here we go. M-Boy, the Vol fans are mad they took Levis. Many people are talking about Levis.
And buttheads.
And Hooker and all sorts of things. Yes, Todd Seals, Levis and buttheads. I don't know what that means, Todd.
Oh,
but Rand Carthon been making the rounds with the media.
Peace. Tannehill has about 30 more days. Peace.
Well, let's get to that. With what would you do with Tannehill? Because some are saying, well, would they cut him now? Would they still trade him if somebody needed him? Do they roll with him and just let him go next year? We need to get to that. But we tease this. Rand Carthon on Ramon, Kayla, and Will this morning ask what was the gist of the question, basically about Levis kind of versus Hooker.
Yeah, somewhat like that.
Something along those lines, and this was the answer from the Titans general manager.
Well, Will is a, big, strong guy, has a strong arm. He's run NFL offenses, whether it was under Liam Cohen or Rich Gangarello. They ran NFL-style offenses. So from a comprehension standpoint, he understands NFL concepts, and he's executed NFL concepts. But, the one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive. And I think you kind of saw some of that in his reaction, whether it was the first night of the draft or after he got the call that we were taking him, you kind of saw some of that competitive fire come out. So you feel good about him coming in and, being the best teammate he can be and competing for us.
Never went into Hooker because I think you can't really be talking about the other players.
Right.
But he did go into Levis and why they took him. So here's what I'm going to say to what he just said. Now, hearing it the first time, you miss some things, but basically was saying because they don't run a pro-style offense at Tennessee, it was easier to see how this kid would adapt to the pro game and our style of offense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Remember, that came up. It came up because people who are draft evaluators, multiple of those guys, because you're like me and you were into it and you were reading everything you could find, looking at everything, there seemed to be this theme of, well, is it hard to evaluate the Tennessee players, even Hyatt, based on the offense that he ran?
Guess what's easy to see, though? Darnell Wright, who went 10th, you see his pass protection because you leave him out there on that island. And so that could see clear as day that this is going to work.
That translated, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's doing his job.
Yeah.
So let's just
and the other ones you say, yeah, but they'll never be running wide open like this.
Well, if somebody told you before last year, and you watch and understand what Tennessee's doing as well as anybody, and anytime a player comes up, you know the guy. And if somebody told us before the start of last season, like, hey, man, at the draft next year, the first guy to go off all of these guys is Darnell Wright, and he'll be a first-round pick and, way up in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have been like, huh?
No, I definitely would have been like, oh, I don't know about that high. I would have said that. Even after he had a great Senior Bowl, and I raved about him there and his technique there, and I thought he was might have been the best one there. And I watched him a lot. I was like, wow. And so I think it kind of he rode that wave. Then they go back and watch more and more tape. And then Will Anderson Jr. saying he was the best offensive tackle he faced all season. Uh-oh. Sorry, Charlie. He going up the board. So I think a lot of things went his way, and deservingly so, because he did have a good game against him. And then for the player to, affirm that, So that was big time. But to think he would be the first, a lot of people were saying his name though, the first Tennessee player to get go off the board in the draft was pretty unique. So it was exciting. But they still had, I think, 5 guys drafted. Some other guys got in camp. Not as high as you want. I think 3 of them went in the 3rd round, or is it 4? I know Hyatt, Tillman, Hooker, they were 3rd round. And then, Bryce Young
to L.A. as well.
From all of them 3rd round. So I think what happens, too, is on the offensive side, there's a stigma in the NFL based off what they run. Does the quarterback, that style of offense, even translate to the NFL? See? And the reason why I say that is Heupel was the offensive coordinator at Missouri, and what's the guy's name? Daniel, what was his name? The quarterback there at the time. Drew Lock, yeah. And how he hasn't had success in the National Football League. So I don't know if that carries enough weight or not. I'm just watching and observing. I want to say it doesn't, because at the end of the day, you can't just collect stats. You have to be, your mechanism as a quarterback should be the same. And they're just, one side reads. And a lot of quarterbacks are like that in college, and going through the progressions. I thought Hooker potentially could be a better player. And I wasn't even sitting in the interview rooms having conversations with Hooker or Levis. So I can't say that. But what I can say is I think Levis is a heck of an athlete. I watched this one highlight. I saw him hurdle a guy.
Yeah.
Hurdle just like Josh Allen, by the way. Just like it. That's why I use that comparison. He's not Josh Allen, but he's not too far behind as far as athleticism.
Would you want him to be less swole? Would you say let's back this down some?
I think he'll figure that out. You get caught up in that when you're in college. I think he'll figure that out.
I was, dude. I weighed 133 pounds. I was jacked. You should have seen me.
Well, I did too, coming into the league for sure. And then I realized during minicamp, quick observation, said, you know what, I need to lean out and be on the track more than actually lifting weights. Because you think going to the league is bigger, stronger people. But at the end of the day, a guy that plays DB is all about speed and change of direction. I definitely changed my whole workout right off the jump. When I came back for training camp, I was ready to rock and roll. Yeah, so, he'll learn those along the way. Most quarterbacks aren't jacked like that. Yeah, and there's a reason why. I mean, you don't need to be. You don't need to be. But, some people say, oh, he'll be more doable. That doesn't mean that. It could be, some guys who look like that get injured even more. So you just don't know. Every individual is his own individual case. So we shall see. Yeah, we'll see. I feel like he's a poor man's not Tannehill as a thrower, Josh Allen as the athlete. That's where I'm going. Yeah,
and that's not bad.
Yeah,
like Josh Allen level athlete jumps over people.
Yeah, and he shows signs of that. Levis is a really good athlete. So I'm just interested. You could hear Vrabel talk through it. What was the interview when he talked through Levis? Do you have that about the interceptions and saying, he should have been around the 60-some or 70 percentile, but he had some drops somewhere, on him? Do you have it?
I don't have that part, but I do have Vrabel talking about the situation around Levis. Essentially, if we have the same issues protecting him, then it's going to be similar results.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
let me tell you something. If they have problems protecting anybody now, because they spent so much free agent, and I know their project and they're underachiever guys, but they've spent a lot of capital on the offensive line. If that's not
fixed.
They
picked them. They picked them in the draft and free agency, so, yeah, they better be better.
That's gotten more attention than anything. So if that's not fixed, then that's on them.
I think the Titans are really, navigating and maneuvering through this, trying to still stay relevant and good and competitive at the same time, trying to transition at the same time to a new staple of players with keeping those elite players that still got some left in the tank. So I think they're doing a pretty solid job at it. It's tough, though, because you're trying to find your franchise quarterback, and I think they thought they got value with the second round. Yeah, and a lot of people saying, oh, they didn't plan on they would have taken him at 11. Well, guess what? They thought Skoronski was more urgency there because they had Tannehill. And then they say, he's still available when we're in the second round? We got to move up now. We can move on from Tannehill, whether it's this year in a trade or cut or next year. Because now you're going to get Tannehill's best performance because he knows he's going to be somewhere else after this season, at worst case scenario.
Let's take a couple of these phone calls. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Jesse, now Jerome, from Lewisburg. What's up, Jesse? Yes.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Y'all kind of hit my point on Darnell Wright earlier. I wasn't going to talk so much about Hendon Hooker. You look at what the Eagles did and how they kind of looked at who was dominant in college football last year. It was Tennessee and Georgia. Georgia's defense, they took all their defense. But look around Hendon Hooker. We could have added Tillman and Hyatt with Burks, Okonkwo, and still got Josh Wild later on in the 6th round and had a slew of weapons. And I don't even know how you defend that. You definitely got to back up and get those 8-man boxes off of Henry at that point because you just have multiple people on the field. I don't know what they're thinking. Y'all ask how you feel. I feel terrible. I don't know how they're going to put seats in that $2 billion stadium that they just signed up for with Tebow 2.0.
I will say this. If I'm at defensive coordinator right now, I'm like, I'm going to put 9 in the box. Screw 8. I'm putting 9 in the box. 9. Till I see these other guys can hurt me, a 9. I may have another guy lean into the box. I have 9.5. I'm gonna have another guy put 1 foot in the box, so it's 9.5 in the box.
I got my foot in the box right now. Man, hey, they gonna force him to throw. So I'm interested to see who they get. I mean, you just never know. Something blockbuster could happen. I feel like Vrabel, and maybe not something big, but I really think they believe that they're going to get a quality player at receiver before all said and done, before they go to training camp. So I believe they think they have something in their back pocket. I really do. Because he keeps talking about money. That's where he goes as soon as you say. And then he goes to money. We can make space.
Yeah.
Whoa. We didn't say. What kind
we
of space
didn't bring up money.
What kind of space you making? We get a big time player? 10 million?
Rand mentioned money too.
10 million. Right. They both, yeah. I mean, so I'm thinking, Hopkins? No, don't do that.
Okay. Just for anybody who wants to trade, though, they don't have any more trade assets. This is their draft picks in 2024. A first, a second, a fourth, and 2 sevenths. Whatever they trade has got to be people from here on out. People. I've been holding that.
Great point.
A 1, a 2, a 4, and 2 sevens. Whatever they trade now is people.
So
there's no more picks to trade.
Then we're going to go back to the dynamic trio. That's where it goes. The quarterback, running back, and Byard. Who has the value? That's that, and then their salaries.
All right.
Cap hit. I mean, so yeah. So it's not over. It's never over till it's over.
It is not.
I wonder if all 3 of those guys are out there working out.
I don't know. I
don't think so. I keep seeing Henry at the workout gym. He's not at the gym here.
Yeah, he's not there. He's training with somebody else doing his
he's working out with Lucas, man.
All right, Jack in Inglewood is on the line. We'll get Jack's call. We'll get your 615-737-1045. We have several ding-dongs lined up in the Zone TV chat. We'll tell you those. We'll tell you ours, and we'll share yours as well. Ding-dong of the week is next.
Tighten up.
Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. Ring a ding, ding, dong. Time for ding dong of the week. Maybe you got a candidate for us. I don't know. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. Start packing. I do know that you could do that with Mark Spain. You can also call us anytime on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. We got people on here with questions. We'll get to your questions.
Yeah, let's do the questions. And ding dong.
Jameson says in his own TV chat, this is Jameson, not me, not Mickey. Jameson says ding dong of the week is the Vols fan base for thinking they know more about football than literally no one else or anybody else, he says. Lonzo says, my ding dong of the week is the Lions drafting an injured quarterback. That's Lonzo having some fun there. Remember Lonzo asked the Mississippi
he threw that pot
State
shot at Lucas, man.
Avatar. Eric White says, my ding dong of the week, LOL, Vrabes and Rand trolling fans. Remember them waving?
Oh, were they trolling the fans? What do you think?
Yeah.
The camera came on. What are we supposed to do?
That was fantastic. Austin says ding dong is the entire NFL, letting the Eagles draft Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, Philly Dogs.
Oh, man, the Philly Bulldogs.
Philly Bulldogs, man.
Oh, man, I love it. Then they got Ringo and my man Brown, the safety. Oh, man, I love that. Well, Detroit did all right. Hooker, Branch, Laporta, Campbell, and Gibbs. That's all right now. That's pretty good. We got some 3 other guys. I never heard of them. D-tackle line. Wide receiver, Antone Green. Who is that?
How about your man Stetson Bennett showing up with the Rams? He's going to get coached up. Going to get coached up.
Oh, I like it.
Yep.
I like it. I like me some Stetson Bennett. He's a winner. I like guys like that. Overachiever, confident. Hey, man, he made it. I showed you. I'm all about that action, boss.
Cousin Danny in the Borough, ding dong of the week is Coach Prime. He wants to blast the NFL for not drafting more HBCU players when he abandoned the HBCU. He was coaching in favor of a school with the larger recruiting market, SMH.
Oh, well, I mean, you tell me, $500,000 and $5 million, one or two. Would you abandon them too?
Was he even making $500,000?
I think some people said $300,000.
Okay.
But I don't know the
$500,000
fact. That's
a lot.
what it's about. At the end of the day, he did his best he could do. That. I don't know why people HBCU like he was going to be loyal to them. Deion is about Deion. He always been that way. Yeah, so I better get it. Yeah, you just saw how many players left. Well, he told half of those people to leave, by the way.
Right.
It wasn't like nope, you need to leave.
Right.
He told them that from day one, that a whole bunch of them need to get their suitcases and get to moving.
And for
When he
people who
first
don't
met him, like he hadn't even watched them practice.
For people who don't know, though, not everybody goes into the portal wants to. A lot of them get told, hey, man, it's been a good run for you here, but we don't have a spot for you anymore.
Yeah.
I know some of y'all don't want to believe that, but that happens sometimes, too.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there was, I think, a handful of guys, of what I'm understanding, talking to a lot of people, that he didn't want to enter the portal. They did. And then there was the rest of them, he told them to leave, and other ones that they knew they weren't going to be playing.
Yep.
They just added a Tennessee defensive lineman via the portal. Colorado did.
Oh, did they?
They just portaled an ex-offensive state.
Who? Have we heard of him
Arkansas
before?
State tight end.
Amari McNeil.
I remember that name.
I remember the name. What year is he? Do you know?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I saw a couple of free agent guys, too. The tight end got free agent shots to the NFL. Bumpus as well.
Latrell Bumpus, yeah. Jeremy Banks.
Where did he wind up?
I'm trying to remember where he landed.
Well, I saw him in the 7th round.
Tampa Bay.
He was showing up on that best available list on the 7th round.
I couldn't
thought.
Remember what's his name said he wasn't going to get drafted?
Yeah.
He was right. Who was that? We had your buddy said that. Lucas?
Rick Butler.
Rick Butler?
Yeah.
I just wondered,
Tampa Bay.
He was like fifth round.
It was Tampa Bay.
I just
I'm
wondered.
going to say something crazy now. Talent-wise, Toa is not better than him. Talent.
He didn't
I
go
ain't
till
say
the
he was
sixth,
a better
did he?
player or he's a smarter player, but just talent. He better than Toa. I don't care about nobody, no stars. I'm watching what's on the field.
Yeah.
I said that before.
Henry T didn't go till the
Everybody was talking about he was
6th,
going
I
to be
don't think
first or
either.
second round. I said, I don't see that.
Yeah.
When he went against Alabama and them big team, they was road grading him.
Toa fifth to the Texans.
Fifth to the Texans.
Yeah, so we gonna get to see him.
Yeah, it's twice a year.
I don't know if he want no Henry. I'm just saying. Man. Sometimes you gotta make that business decision. I don't know, man. I'm telling you. That dude looks like the Jolly Green. Nope, not Black Giant.
The Zone TV chat.
Two-tone blue on, boy. Whoop, whoop. Watch out.
Zone TV chat is just full of ding-dongs. Football Fred, my ding-dong is Jason McCourty. His cringe rant during the draft, he made the Titans look bad.
Yeah. I was going to go there. He was a little long-winded. I think he was trying to get back at Pat McAfee, really. That's where it started. I mean, but I didn't know that until the end because you're there. Oh, okay. You get to the point, man, and then get to the pick. Yeah. But he came out there with, throwback jersey and the Oilers and everything else.
Oh, he had some sweet Oilers gear on.
Yeah.
Tyler says Ding Dong is the ESPN draft broadcast for reading the UT Byron Young player bio when the Bama Byron Young got drafted.
Oh.
Boy, that's a tough moment for that kid.
Somebody got bamboozled. Oh, there go Hooker right there. Detroit Lions. Oh, I feel so sorry for him. Detroit on the come up, man. They are.
Well,
people better quit talking bad about it. They on the come up, man. They was in everybody, man. They better watch out. They may make the playoffs.
They just can't start in the hole that they started last year, but once they figured it out, it's like, I mean, they made a player out of Tiny Khalif.
Yeah.
Like, he's just out there playing receiver. He's not a gadget guy who runs, a go route once
Because they're all about that production. Oop. There it is.
All right, let's take some of these ding-dong calls. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Eric up first, as he always is, to share a ding-dong with Blaine Bishop and Lucas Panzica. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, guys, I've got two, and this is one that can't escape my attention. You guys are going to agree with me. My first ding-dong has got to go to the Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah. What happened Friday night? They were doing all the smack talk saying, oh, yeah, we're guaranteeing victory. We're coming back to Memphis for Game 7, and what happens? They get beat by 40 points. Dylan Brooks avoiding the media, getting fined $25,000, which he deservedly sold. What happened to him? Guys, they become a chirpy and chatty team, and that's an unfortunate thing. They've got a lot of talent, but they need to keep their mouths closed and play basketball. That's my first one. And, guys, my other ding-dong goes to ABC and ESPN. You may have seen what happened yesterday. This was, I guess, they're showing a shot of Steph Curry as he's preparing for the game between the Golden State Warriors and Sacramento Kings. And then they show a shot of New York City and a shot of the Twin Towers. Guys, you cannot have something like that happen. That was an old photo. ESPN's talk about layoffs. Certainly whoever did that deserves to lose their job. You cannot have a shot at the Twin Towers because of 9/11. That's my other big dong. Guys, y'all take care and we'll talk again soon.
Holy moly, I didn't see that.
I missed all of that.
Well, I did see the Warriors got the Kings, though, and old Steph had him a throwback game.
Oh, Steph, we hadn't even mentioned it, but you talking about bringing it. Ooh. I didn't see all the NBA history and all that, but boy, I sure would have to say he got to be in top 10 players of all time after that. That dude there, man. And being a little guy, too. I mean, when little guy, 6'2", 6'3", baby, man. Ooh, he put the team on his back. I mean, he was insane, man. 50 points. And guess what now we get? LeBron, Steph.
Okay.
Fifth time.
Just telling y'all
in the playoffs.
I will stay up late and I'm
gonna watch it.
I'm in.
Yep. You're gonna watch this. Lucas said he's still he got called.
I didn't want to get on I watched a little bit of the Grizz, but this I'm super interested in.
Oh, I'm gonna be watching. Yes, sir.
Let's get Don in Franklin with a ding dong. Don, what's going on, man? Thanks for sharing a ding dong with us.
John, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right, John.
Using disguise.
UT football fans and Hendon Hooker thinking he's the next, I don't know, whoever, savior of the Titans. You think that I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. He's 25 years old. He's not going to be able to play next year. He's going to be 26 whenever he can play. And then that's 2 years behind the rest of the division that all have their future quarterback. And the Titans are sitting there with an injured player next year, hoping that he can catch on the following year. It's just gets old. I know he's a good player and everything, but they just think that he's going to be I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe. And then they say they're going to give up their seats at Titans games, which I don't believe. But
yeah, people get mad and they say some things after things like that.
But it's a part of the PR and marketing. And if it's a close race, I'm leaning towards that way. I have to be honest.
Well, your thing is just draft SEC players anyway.
Yeah, well,
because they're great players. But
I'm
you keep everybody happy in the region.
Keep it easy. Just,
yes.
This is a quarterback. We go West Coast. You go out there and fly and check them out. I would get fired immediately. SEC. And maybe get a Big Ten lineman here or there. Skill guy, quarterback, something. Yeah, but No, I mean, guess why I'm talking about that? That was my analogy 4 years ago, is that's what I would do, because I would get this is a melting pot, and all those fan bases will then crowd into my stadium and buy my Titans tickets, and I'm the owner. So I win either way. And guess what? Even if we're not winning, they still want to come and see them, because guess what? That's their school. They're on the field.
Well, if I had
and they follow them. They follow.
If I was one of these other leagues, as many kids as I could get who had a connection to my city, if I'm USXFL, which I think they should combine into one league, the USXFL, honestly, I would just be like, okay, how many people can I have who are from within like 200 miles of this city right here? Can I only have people? Because I want to put butts in the seats, and I know they play centralized games and all that. But if I'm playing in a city, then I want dudes that they know. I'll go try to talk. I don't care if you've been out of the NFL for 5 years, man. Come play for me.
Oh, this is why they can sign some of these players now, right?
Yes. Oh, that's part of what they're saying. People are looking like people are scouring XFL rosters right now for guys. That's where we are in this city. Oh man, we take a shot at.
No, those are backup role players. Nobody
for receivers.
That too.
Yeah, people got to realize.
If they over Butler, there, then they're not no starting unless somebody get hurt, and then they prove they should be. But initially, when you're bringing them in, even if they're a really good talent, you're saying, okay, well, this guy's going to be a good depth piece. Yeah. If they think somebody come over here going to dominate, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's just.
I haven't watched it, so I can't even say who's good or not. Have you guys?
Yeah. I watched a little bit. And there's, I guess, Akeem Butler is a name that's coming up. I don't think he has a catch in the NFL, and he's in one of these other leagues now. And we will ask Jordan Shaney about this on Wednesday. He wrote a column about it, like where could the Titans go to find a receiver at this point?
We got to wait for somebody to get. He didn't talk about this Monday either. About some cuts may happen.
Oh, he mentioned cuts. He mentioned guys in those other leagues that are going on right now. He mentioned maybe trade, but all they got left is people. They can only trade people for people. They don't have any more draft picks to trade. There's no more.
They can take the 2025 draft.
They can trade people for people. That's what they can do right now is people for people.
Oh, man. There's somebody out there that's not signed.
Kenny Galladay.
Oh.
DeMarcus Robinson.
Jarvis Landry.
Oh, no, didn't he? Is he available or did he get traded?
DeMarcus Robinson?
What guy got traded from the Rams?
You're thinking of Allen Robinson?
Oh, Allen Robinson. Oh, DeMarcus Robinson's the Kansas City Chief guy.
They could have gotten Allen Robinson for not much of anything.
Yeah.
Because it was a late-round pick.
Robinson is a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay. DeMarcus still a free agent.
Here's to you, Mr. Robinson.
Yeah, some quality players. I mean.
And I know a lot of people are saying, some people are saying, oh, my gosh, this is terrifying. They don't have a plan. Others are saying, well, they know that they don't know who's going to get cut. They can assume and think, like I've been saying for 2 months, I think Corey Davis is going to get cut. And some of you guys are all over that. Some of you not so much. Like, oh, he couldn't stay healthy. Like I said the other day, you sign him, you're going to get 12 games, and he'll block and try hard when he's in there, and he knows your offense already. And, like, he's their type physically.
Getting for a good price. I mean, I could go for an 800-yard receiver at this point in time.
Yes. I'm good with 800 yards with Corey Davis.
Well, I'm going to lower him down to like 700 because that was in contract year.
Okay, 700 yards, 12 games. All right, boys. What's your ding dong of the week? Lucas Penn, Zika.
Oh man, they just said one of my ding dongs. Crap.
I'm going to go with Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon, who over the course of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, not once
never appeared
did Jonathan Gannon talk to Cardinals media. He did not appear in front of reporters a single time over the weekend. I don't think there's another NFL coach that I can't remember the last time there was an NFL head coach that did not do this throughout the draft process. He's in his first year, signed obviously previously the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. So I don't know what reasoning he would have. I thought the Cardinals had a good draft. Monty Austinfort obviously spoke with reporters. I don't know if this would have anything to do with him not wanting to answer questions about the tampering that was looked into. Did you guys see this? Monty Austinfort tampering to hire Jonathan Gannon, basically made a call to Gannon that Gannon picked up while he was still with the Eagles during a time where it was impermissible to do so. They had to settle it with the Eagles. The Cardinals gave the Eagles the 66th pick in this year's draft and got the 94th pick back along with the 2024 fifth-round pick. But, Jonathan Gannon, my ding-dong of the week for after his first draft as an NFL head coach, not speaking with the media.
Well, my ding dong, since y'all used, I said them even earlier, is that the Titans disrespecting all defensive players and not taking a freaking defensive player in this draft.
Not
First
one.
time in their history, not one defensive player. That appalls me as a former defensive player. I'm thoroughly disappointed. It's always about the offense. Never talk about the freaking defense. Always talking about Lucas on offense. Never talking about, Hooker on defense. That was funny. He said it just played out that way. Do y'all believe him?
No, because you know what you're doing.
Wait, I think as a part of them, it went down the road, but it kept going that way. But they realized that they knew that it was all offense at this point in time.
To say, yeah, we looked up after the draft, and we didn't plan that. I don't think they planned.
They just followed their board.
Maybe they truly did. Because remember we were talking about what if they got to pick 11 and Bijan Robinson was there and he was their highest, what would they do? Well, they got to the third round, and they took Spears, a running back.
Mm-hmm. And they loved him from the Senior Bowl. It was, he was a great player.
And even in the fifth round, there were some receivers out there, names that you know, guys, and they took a tight end. They took a tight end. I think they followed the board. My ding dong is a franchise that literally the coach said to a national NFL reporter last year before a nationally televised game, "Who the bleep are we going to throw it to?" And the receiver room is worse since then.
Oh, Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel said, who the freak we going to throw? When was that? The Chiefs game?
Chiefs game, yeah. Chiefs game.
Who the bleep are we going to throw it to?
They still don't.
I would still ask who the bleeper, and maybe they think, hey, man, y'all fools ain't seen Burke's off-season program. Everything's fixed.
He can't be a one-man show, though,
threw it in
man.
the trash can. And Chig is like the next coming of Antonio Gates, and then and Phillips. We put 4 pounds on him, man. He's going to be so durable. You ain't seen nothing
That's
like
Julian Edelman right there.
NWI. Man. We're going to add another initial to him because he's going to outplay these 3 letters. Chris Moore. Hey, man, Mike Vrabel had 10 regular season touchdowns as a player, as a defensive end and outside linebacker.
And tight end.
The Titans have 16 receiving touchdowns in the whole receiver room career, and 8 of them are Chris Moore, who nobody in this world.
He doesn't count. He hadn't even been. He
Nobody
put the jersey
listening to us
yet.
right now could pick him out on the street if they saw him.
I couldn't even. When they said Chris Moore, did he play against the Titans?
All the receivers have 16 touchdowns. Vrabel had 10, and he was the outside linebacker.
I don't think Vrabel values the wide receiver.
All right, Jack and Robert, we value you. We will come back. We will take your calls next on Blaine and Mickey.
That's a good one, Mickey.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Always appreciate phone calls. Robert and Jack have been kind enough to hold, and we appreciate it. Jack was up first, and then Robert on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Jack in Inglewood, always up to no good. What's up, Jack?
I had a question for Blaine.
Uh-oh, Jack.
But while we're at it, my fallback is always Mel Kiper for a ding-dong.
Hey, people trying to put him in the Hall of Fame.
Huh?
Yes.
Hall of what?
There is a push to put him in the Hall of Fame for how he covers the draft. He's getting all the credit for making it popular to watch on TV. I'm not making this up.
No, I saw that.
It's a real thing.
I kept scrolling.
They put him under it.
No, come on, man.
So he's a
anyway. What I wanted to ask, Blaine.
Mm-hmm.
Every good player I've ever heard talk about their career talked about when they were a rookie, and at some point, the vets to bring them in, put them under their wing, teach them how to be a full-grown man in that man's NFL. Blaine, can you kind of talk about these 6 kids that they rounded up over the weekend, what they would have to do to get to that point?
All right, Jack.
I think maybe he's talking about mentorship. Is that what he's referring to? Yeah. So what happens is first of all, you get to know the guys on the team. So, and naturally, you're always looking up to them. So eventually you get to the point where you're in the meetings, when you're in your individual meetings, whatever position that is you're in. You start having dialogue and them, asking them questions. Maybe when you're leaving the meeting as the coach is talking, or maybe you don't understand things, and then you develop a relationship. And some veterans are going to help you, and then some veterans are only going to help you so much. That's that'll speed up your process. And then some vets it won't help you at all. They'll just be like, "Hey, you'll figure it out though. You'll be fine."
Mm-hmm.
They'll give you one little tidbit to tell you what to do, but they're not going to go out of your way. So that's just kind of how it works. Not in demeaning way or anything like that. And then some will have you over your house. And then what really gets you really close is, you all go out to dinner by your group, your position groups. And then you get to know each other on a personal level and get to know what makes each guy tick. And, especially guys, when you're around a lot of guys, they, always pulling your chain and always want to make fun of whatever you do that's different than everybody else. So, yeah, and then that way you get comfortable around. And once you get comfortable, then you try to get comfortable with the scheme. And mostly guys are very open to helping you out and giving you a number. And, hey, man, I do what I can to help you. Just give me a shout. So some of it to me is also, here's where the players go wrong. They never ask this question. No one ever asked me this question. How do I study my opponent? And I never asked anyone either. But I know how vital that was in my development. Because I figured it out on my own because I just watched so much film.
Right.
Like, we'd go eat lunch. I'd grab my lunch and I'd say hello. I'm eating my lunch watching film by myself because everybody else is in there taking a break from film.
Right.
That's my time to get ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all enjoy your snacks. We'll enjoy eat some film.
Mm-hmm. I can eat my lunch and learn at the same time.
Lunch and learn with the Hitman.
Yeah, lunch and learn.
Robert in the borough with a question next. Hey, Robert.
First to comment, I think we can say now that Rand was not even in the room in San Francisco when they was figuring out who the heck to draft. I don't think they left that man in the room. I think they left him outside. But the question was, there's still some teams that need a quarterback. If they was willing to trade into the first round to get Levis, then they think that he's a first-round talent. Do you think there's a chance that they could possibly trade Tannehill now for – maybe player for player for like a number 3 receiver on something? Because hell, that probably be a number 1 on our team. Almost anybody else's team would be their 3.
Yeah, good point. Or competing to play. I don't know. What do you think, Mickey? Anything's possible. I don't know if they're going to swing that soon until they see Levis, but I think it's a possibility. Maybe that happens later.
Yeah.
Like if somebody gets hurt on another team.
After June 1st, it would be like a much bigger cap savings if they did it then.
Oh.
If they traded him or cut him or anything, it actually spreads his dead cap hit over.
That's right.
Over two.
Good point.
For everybody who's enjoyed the Aaron Rodgers saga, there was a big thought, and not from me, like all these reports of the world, that if that didn't work out, that they would try to trade for Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't want Aaron Rodgers to work out, if you don't like Tannehill, that was probably your best chance. But People are going to get hurt. Somebody may get hurt in mini camp. Somebody may get hurt even before training camp, or certainly by the time training camp rolls around.
Because then you know where Levis is at. If you think,
Training
okay, I can
camp
roll him
time,
out.
especially.
I can roll him out here as a starter.
Yep.
So you have to wait and see where he's at.
I think you had brought up something multiple times, though, people need to understand. There's now not one but two guys who've been drafted to take Tannehill's job in the last 2 years.
Second and third round. Wow.
And so you're going to get the best. He actually has better blocking this year. If you want to tank, you need to get rid of him.
I don't think they're trying to tank.
I don't think so either.
I think they're trying to stay very competitive.
And
at the same time transition to a new quarterback and the team.
So, and maybe the thought is, and I know we got to go. We can get into this tomorrow, but the thought is, roll with Levis if we have to, but you're going to get the best Tannehill. He's playing for his job here or somewhere else.
Yeah. So he's going to ball out.
We got to get out. 3HL's coming up next.
But in the meantime,
in between time,
peace.